Hi, everybody. Welcome to some of the women of Star Wars. Not all of them, because if we had all of them, it would not fit in this room, which is a great thing for sci-fi. I want to go down and have each of you introduce yourselves and where you fit in the Star Wars universe, starting with you, Julie.
I'm Julie Dolan, and a lot of people don't know this, and I'm finding that out here this weekend. I did the voice of Leia. My first Leia job was for Star Tours, for Disneyland and Disney World and Disney Japan and Disney Paris, and everybody thinks it's Rebels, and it wasn't. And people seem to think that Carrie was the one that did that for the Star Tours ride, and by that time she had that real deep gravelly voice. So they auditioned like 400 people, and they auditioned Carrie for it, and she just didn't match her voice from A New Hope. So that's my very first job. And then, of course, I did Rebels, Star Wars Rebels, Legos, Star Wars, and a bunch of video games. And so I've only done Leia. I know a lot of actresses have done different characters, but mine was, I've just done Princess Leia.
Tina?
Hi, my name is Tina Ivelv. I played Marin in the video games Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order and Star Wars Jedi Survivor. And that's like my Star Wars contribution. Yeah, legacy, exactly.
Hi, everyone. I'm Misty Rosas. Can you hear me?
Is your mic off?
Switch it to the
Okay.
Hello, I'm Misty Rosas. I'm from The Mandalorian. I am Queel, the performance artist underneath all of the makeup and costume in Season 1, Season 2, Frog Lady, and just various characters in Season 3.
Hi, my name's Michonne Bourriague, and I played Aura Singh in Episode 1.
Hi, my name is Molly Miller, and I played a Jawa in The Mandalorian Season 1. I also played Handmaiden Agira in the first episode of Obi-Wan Kenobi. I was the decoy Leia at the beginning, and I did young Leia's stunts in Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I think we have 4 mics total, right? So I'm gonna hang on to this one, and then if we need to shuffle, we can.
Sure.
Sorry, and my name is Lacey Bond. I'm with Temple of Geek. Thank you, Rebel ScumCon, for having me to moderate. This is really exciting. The first question I had is, I'm actually curious what each of yours first exposure to Star Wars was.
In 1977, I saw A New Hope. And then I saw Return of the Jedi and Empire Strikes Back, and then that was it. Until I booked Leia 100 years later, and I thought, ooh, I better do some research. So I watched all 6 movies, because there was only 6 at the time. Force Awakens hasn't come out yet. And I watched them over and over and over and over, just because I wanted to find out who she was. I mean, I saw A New Hope back then, but I didn't remember a lot of it, you know. So I read Wikipedia and Wikipedia, Princess Leia, everything, so I could do my research as an actor. But 1977, A New Hope, that was my first experience.
Yeah, similar. I mean, I saw the original trilogy in high school and then hadn't really seen anything, and then I got the role as well, and then I was like, okay, I need to, and luckily, I mean, Leia, that's crazy, but like luckily Marin was an invention sort of in the games, so, you know, I had the Clone Wars to look at for the Night Sisters, but yeah, again, I was just like, I rewatched the movies, did a bunch of research, watched whatever I could to get my head around the character and the world and everything, so yeah, that was pretty much what I
Thanks. My dad was a huge movie buff. He loved everything that George Lucas and Steven Spielberg made. So even though I was super young, I got in the car with the family when they went to see A New Hope. And I was there, and I remembered it was big and awesome, and space, and the music is what resonated with me the most. You know, and when I was having rough moments and getting tired when shooting Season 1 of Mando, I would hum the Force theme in my head as my way of connecting and feeling that I'm a part of something that is bigger than myself. So get it together. And even though you're tired, do your work and know that it is something that is important to so many people. So yeah, I love Star Wars. It's been with me my entire life. So being here now means a lot, and it means a lot to be with you. So.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be the odd one here. So I had seen the movies throughout, my childhood and high school, but I can't say that I was a huge fan or that any family, mom, dad, were fans. But after I did filming, I guess I was working in Europe, and I had heard the character was being developed in comic books and action figures, which I was blown away by. I started to read the comics, and I started to get into the expanded universe and that character, and it kind of took off from there. And obviously now I've been doing this for a while. I love the Star Wars community, and I'm just so happy to be a part of it. I feel like that little part has been such a massive blessing in my life. So I'm kind of an after. After I was a part of the film, I became, I love it now, but I can't say that I did before. I'm sorry. Forgive me.
That's okay. You are welcome. It doesn't matter when you come to the Star Wars universe. You're welcome when you get here.
And you are not the odd one out, because we have a similar story. So my dad is also a huge movie buff. I watched the original movies like a long time ago with my father, and I enjoyed them, but like I wasn't like a diehard Star Wars fan. I thought they were great, they were cool, but it wasn't until I worked on The Mandalorian with Misty and all the other Jawas that I realized, whoa, this is cool. What world am I in? And maybe I should do my homework. And so I started to watch, some of the films, and when I worked on Obi-Wan Kenobi, I watched, the films leading up to before that. That one, Return of the Jedi, all that stuff. And I'm like, okay, these are really cool. Like, I can appreciate it more as an adult than I did when I was a kid. And I'm more of a fan now. And like everybody said, it's such a special fan base. It's such a great community, and I'm really, really grateful to be here with everyone.
Awesome.
Can I just say, you two are not the odd ones out, because I was not a fan at that point, because I was not a science. You know what? I just wasn't into science fiction. I was a tap dancer, so I was watching those MGM musicals, and I loved horror films. And rather than go to the future, if somebody said to me, would you rather go to the future or the past if you could time travel? I'd go to the past. I would not go to the future. And Star Wars to me was future and sci-fi, and I just couldn't wrap my brain around it until I watched them over and over and over and over, and I got to know who each character was and their stories, and and the 1, 2, and 3, well, 4, 5, and 6 were great. Rogue One is my favorite movie. So I just want to
Look at you now. I mean, look at this.
Blinged out.
This isn't my only best like this too.
So this is, anyone can take this one. I'm curious how you have seen science fiction as a genre change over the last decade or few decades as a female performer.
For me, being a character performer in this type of genre, I started in practical suit effects and then went off and did motion capture. And then you saw a lot of it when, the next 3 movies were made. And so I figured if I would do anything, it would be in the motion capture world of it. And then got my audition for the first season of Mando, and it came back, and I'm kind of grateful that they decided to move away from motion capture and go back to practical effects, just like the first movie, animatronic heads, and so that it does feel really immersive. And, you know, I was right there in the mix and bringing something through that animatronic head. So it's kind of been interesting to go to watch and see practical effects in the beginning and then it shift to motion capture. But I'm super grateful that they did come back to practical, not only with my character, but with Grogu. That was super important because you just need that little being, that little baby right there. And I got yelled at pretty much every day that I was doing scenes with him because I'd just be like, and especially Deb Chow, she'd be like in my earpiece, "Mist, remember, you're a grumpy old man. You don't care about the baby. You don't like the baby." I was like, "I know, I promise I will pay him no attention when you call, you know, action."
He was so cute, Grogu, and his two little bottom baby teeth. And
I was obsessed. You know, and my team is Legacy, so anytime I come on set, they fire him up, and we have a moment. And so it's their fault.
He's so precious. Tina, you've had to do mocap working in the games. What is that like?
Yeah, so it's kind of like it's like a giant sound stage essentially. It's called the Volume, and it's like, I mean, it's bigger than this room, and it's interesting because you have a suit and you have like, it's like the balls are attached to your suit and you have a head cam, HMC, and it's you know, people ask me, is it really strange to like work in that kind of a space, to have like a suit on? But you kind of get used to it. It becomes kind of like a second skin and you forget about it. But yeah, I really enjoy it actually. And you really use your imagination. Like for the first game, you know, at one point I'm standing on a mountain, but there's no mountain. It's just boxes. You know, you just stand on top of boxes, and that's how you just have to imagine that you're on a mountaintop. You know, lots of times, like, and for that scene in specific, which was actually quite difficult because you couldn't look, so your eye line has to be like, I'm looking down at Cal, I'm looking down at Malicos, but they're right in front of me, so I can't look at them, I have to look at the ground as if I'm above them. So there's a lot of things like that, like Grease, he's you know, for those who don't know, he's the character with the lots of arms, and he's Latero, I believe is what he's called. But he, you know, he's like what, 6-something, and so we have like, you know, tape on his belly button for his eyes, and that's what we look at. So I can't look him in the eye when I'm performing with him. So that it becomes kind of difficult, but it's interesting, and I really enjoy it. It's been really, really fun. Yeah.
For Molly, what drew you? How did you get involved in Kenobi? What drew you into the world?
Ooh, that's a good question. How I got the job was like, well, I stunt double kids. That's mostly what I do. And I just got a call from a stunt coordinator, and I had no idea it was The Mandalorian. But he just asked me, hey, are you available this week to work on a show? And he explained, you'll be carrying some heavy parts and maybe running up and down a ramp. I'm like, yeah, sure, okay, cool. And then I show up to my costume fitting and I see all the Star Wars stuff and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I know what this is.
What did that feel like? Were you just in shock, or?
Yeah, I was in shock. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm working on a Lucasfilm project. I'm in the Star Wars universe. This is really cool. And yeah, it was pretty surreal to see. Like, I saw droids. I saw, you know, all the creature costumes. I think I actually tried on a droid costume at one point. I did. They didn't use me for that, but like they were trying to see what they could put me in. And yeah, and yeah, it's kind of funny, like working in the film industry. You never know what's gonna happen. Yeah.
Michonne, you were telling me last night that when you were working on Phantom Menace, George pulled you aside and told you, like, this is gonna change your life. Yeah. How has that come to pass? How has that manifested?
Yeah. So on the day, well, you know, after I had found out that I got the part, I thought, okay, it's going to be a small part. It's not no dialogue, but I'll be a part of modern history, and hopefully I'll get to meet George Lucas. But I didn't know if I was going to. So on the day of filming, nobody said whether or not he'd be there, and I was on set, and I'll never forget it for the rest of my life. It's like kind of like a hangar at ILM. And it opened, and it was so bright outside because it's really dark in there. And so this bright light came in, and I just see his silhouette. And he walked in, and I immediately started shaking. I was like, oh my gosh, he's here. And so he came over, and we talked about it, the scene, and which wasn't very difficult. And then we went to the studio for still photography. And so he walked with me. And when we were walking over there, he said, we were talking about the prosthetics because I was in makeup for like 6 hours. And it was mainly just because of the fingers extensions. And he said, if we expand the character, if she's in more live action, we're going to do mechanical. And in that moment, I almost died because I was like, oh my gosh, there's a potential for her to be. And so that was exciting. But he did say, even this little 2-3 seconds you're going to be in the film, it's going to change your life. And I'm thinking, yeah, right. Like, how does that work? But I was like, okay. And then I went on with my modeling career because I was hired as a model, and I was in Barcelona. And I got a call from my agent, like I said, and he told me that's being developed. And since then, Star Wars has been such a massive part of my life. I mean, that little part changed the trajectory of my life. I mean, all the original trilogy guys, I traveled with them all over the world. I have like amazing memories with Jeremy Bulloch and, oh my gosh, Paul Blake, all of them. I love all of them. And so the memories that I have from this, and I'm still having, like here I am today with you guys, it's absolutely incredible. So yeah, he was definitely right.
That's very cool.
Yeah. If anybody does have audience questions, please raise your hand. I am going to give a question to Julie, and then I saw a hand. Are you our mic minder? Awesome. We have a question down in the second row. Do you have a mic? Or do you need to steal one of ours? All right. So Julie.
Yes.
What was it like finding the voice of Leia? Because it's such an iconic character.
Well, my very first, the Star Tours, how I got the audition, my agent called me and said, can you sound like Carrie Fisher from A New Hope, Princess Leia? And I said, no, I haven't heard that voice in 100 years. I don't know. So they sent me the Obi-Wan Kenobi speech, the General Kenobi, years ago you served my father. They sent me that in an audio and the dialogue, but the dialogue was different. And I thought, what is this for? So how I voice match is I will play her track, and I will read it on top of her. I'll say it right along with her. I'll get the rhythm, the emotion, the pitch as best I can, the gait, the feeling, everything. And I say it over and over and over with the track until it sounds like one person. And then I drop her off, and then I do it. So I do it immediately. So that's how I found the voice, by listening to it. And if it's in your wheelhouse, you're going to get pretty close. And I pretty much sound like her without having to do anything. There's just a couple of pitch things that I have to change. And if in A New Hope, she had that really weird affected English accent. Sort of. Every now and then it would come in and out. Because she had just gone to London and was in an acting class, and then they were shooting A New Hope, and so she had this weird accent that she even admits comes in only when she's trying to be Governor talking, blah, blah, but then when she's saying, aren't you a little short to be a stormtrooper? There's no English accent. So when I did Star Tours, they hired a vocal coach, and they wanted me to do that fake English accent, so I had to learn how to do that. So vocal coaches are good for that stuff. So that's how I kind of find the voice. And for Rebels, Dave Filoni just said, do your thing. You sound enough like her. I don't need you to try to do anything.
He's famous
Okay.
for that. He always says that. Like, I'll always ask, like, you sure? Do you want me to match something? Especially with Ugnaughts. And he's like, and I'm so glad that I didn't Google him before my first, meeting/rehearsal. So I would have had a rough go of it. I was like, he's just my director. It's I don't know who he is, and it's fine. But yeah, I'll ask him a ton of questions. Like, do you what's the backstory? How do you want me to move? And this and that. He's like, I'm just going to let you do whatever you want to do. I was like, okay. So he's so very just casual and chill, and everything is wonderful all the time.
So that's reassuring, not nerve-wracking. That's great. Okay, we had a question in the audience. You, sir.
Yeah, so first of all, thank you for taking your time to be away from your families and spend it with us. I had a couple questions, though. One kind of directed towards Miss Michonne. As seeing the bounty hunter and not having a whole lot of screen time, I was really hoping that they would have that kind of all the different IG-11, all the different bounty hunters. Did they ever actually talk about creating a show? And if they did it at this point, would you be able to come back and do the role of Aura?
Yeah, there's not a lot of communication with me with future shows or anything like that, but I would love to have the character be developed more. I mean, I was really happy that they brought her into Clone Wars to have the relationship between her and Boba Fett kind of solidified for fans and know her, more of her. But yeah, no, sorry. But yes, but yes.
But yes.
But yes.
My second question being for Miss Tina, as I love the game, I was really hoping that y'all would have some cameos in some of these, like especially like Ahsoka, because it'd kind of be around the same time, maybe, yeah. And I guess my question would be, has there been any communication? If you can even talk about that. And my second question to that would be, would you be willing to do that? Because I know voice acting and live action are two different things, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because since it is performance capture, it doesn't really feel, it actually kind of just feels like, I mean, because it is live action and we are doing the scenes, so it kind of just feels like the only thing that's missing is the makeup and the and the clothing, and the scenes around, and like the props and the set and everything, all the things. But yeah, I mean, so it seems like it would be I think it would be an easy transition for us to do. But I would love that. If anyone has talked to me about it, I'd have to kill you if I told you that. Who knows? You know, at this point, who knows? But I would love to. That'd be great. Yeah.
That would be amazing. Misty and Molly, did you say you had worked together as Jawas on Mando?
No, I was a Jawa.
Okay.
On Mandalorian, but Misty was
Queel. We were, I got to speak Jawa, which was really cool.
Awesome.
My relationship with the Jawas is we had a very cohesive relationship and understanding, where Mando and Jawas did not. So it was like such a fun day because there were so many Jawas.
Oh my gosh, there were like 20 or 30 of us running around.
Oh, wow.
Do we have any other audience questions, by the way? Over in this row, and then we had one in the front, I believe.
Hello. I just had a question. It's open for anyone. Is this what you've always wanted to do? And if you didn't, what do you think you would do if you weren't voice acting or acting?
I knew at 3 years old that what I wanted to do. I pointed to the television, and I think it was Shirley Temple, said to my mom, that's what I want to do. And she stuck me in dancing class at 3 years old, and I started acting at 9, got an agent, and I was a child actor. And I never thought about voice acting, ever. But I did a lot of children's shows, live action, theme park, and television. And they kept asking me, can you do like this little flower voice? She's a little flower. Just say this line like a flower would say it. Oh, can you be this little animal? And I kept booking voiceovers. And my sister said, you should really pursue that. And I went, nope, it's a completely different, I'm an on-camera actor, I'm a dancer, I'm a musician. I am not going to choose another career. She said, but you keep booking it anyway. Why don't you put a little effort into it? Okay, so I took a voiceover class, which is basically an acting class behind a microphone. It's exactly like an acting class. You do the same choices, same character work. And then I did a demo. I sent it out to a couple of agents. I got an agent and booked a national commercial. I think it was an OnStar commercial with Tiger Woods. I never saw him because I was voiceover. I was his OnStar operator. And Jeff Gordon, the driver. So and then I booked, a few years later, I booked Leia. So it's like, I never even thought about voice acting, and I still do on camera. So I don't know anything else. Of course, I've had waitressing jobs and, all these crazy jobs that actors have. But my life has been about the arts all the time, struggling all the time, never knowing where your next job is coming from.
Yeah, I feel like for actors, everyone I talk to who is an actor, I feel like if they could do something else, they would, but they can't. Like this is what we do. We love it, and I think since I was ever since I was like 12, I think that's when the bug bit me, and ever since then I just never looked back. And so this is what I would do for sure. Yeah.
For me, before my Mando audition, I was in a different headspace and creative space. I was fixated and focused on music and writing and recording and opening for whoever I wanted to open for next, which is kind of a good thing because my agent, and again, I can't believe I did this, and because I didn't know it was Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, my poor agent, they were asking, she's like, do you have a demo reel for all of your suit performance and mocap and all the creature work you do? It's like, no, I'm not really, that's not what I'm about anymore. I'm going a different direction. She's like, well, there's this big production that, they want to see your work. And so I sent these random clips of just little bits and pieces of things that I've done. Not a nice professional demo at all. And I think did that 3 times, and they're just like, oh my God, just bring this girl in for an audition. In hindsight, I can't believe I did that. And now I have a professional demo just in case that happens again. But it's almost like sometimes life happens when you're busy making other plans. And even when I went in for my audition, I was excited to do it. I didn't know what I was auditioning for, and it didn't matter because I was going to go back, right back to music. And so that helped for me to be calm in my cold read. And I was happy and proud that I did it. And then I just let it go, and it finds your way back. So, definitely in the creative arts, but I'm all over the place all the time.
The odd one here again. So like I said, I was in the modeling industry when I was hired to play or sing. So, and I literally had my business, it's called a Z card, it's your modeling business card. It was out for a week when I got pulled to play or sing. So here I thought I was gonna be a Levi model or something. And I got to play an alien creature, which was really cool. Like I said, changed my life. But I got into modeling because I wanted to travel. I really wanted to travel the world, and that was a way to make money and do it. And so I did that, and I was obviously a part of the Star Wars universe. And I did commercials and stuff like that. I've dabbled in acting. I do love my character. If there was an opportunity, I would definitely want to do that. But and then I kind of went into photography. I found it very easy to go from working on one side of the camera to the other. And so my husband and I actually ran a photography studio for a really long time. And then I had 4 kids, so that went out the window too. So, but yeah, I've kind of always dabbled in, in photography and modeling, a little bit of acting. So, yeah, it's been a fun ride. I'm still riding it.
So I got bit by the acting bug when I was 11. One of my favorite movies of all time is Harry Potter. So, thank you. When I was in the theater watching that first Harry Potter movie, I just remember being transported to a different world. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so magical. I want to do that. I want to be part of the magic. So as a kid, I always dreamed of being an actor, but I grew up in Ohio, in the Midwest, not around Hollywood. Had no idea how to make that happen or what to do. And but yeah, in high school, I've done some plays, and I've joined choir. So I've always been enjoyed the arts and been musically inclined. And played instruments. I played the trumpet and the piano. Thank you. And then, actually, Ohio started to get some films. They have a small industry out there, and I started doing extra and background work, and I happened to meet, like, a stunt coordinator on one of the movies I was working on, and he was like, "Oh, you're so tiny. You would be a perfect stunt double for kids." And I didn't even know that children needed stunt doubles. Yeah, you think stunt doubles, you think A-list celebrities like Tom Cruise and, like, you know, normal, average. I mean, not that I'm not normal, but like average height people, you know. But yeah, so that was really eye-opening, and this coordinator was like, I could use you on my stunt team, I'll train you. And so I trained with him for a couple years, booked my first stunt job. And like I found like that was kind of like the door for me that like opened up more opportunities in the film industry, and I was able to like audition for acting roles that way. I got an agent. So yeah, who would have thought Molly from Ohio would now be living in LA, working on Star Wars and all these big projects. It's such a gift.
Oh.
Yeah.
How many of y'all are in LA, like based in LA now?
I just moved. Born and raised in LA in the Valley, and I just moved 2 years ago to Atlanta.
Congratulations on getting out.
Yep.
I live in LA.
I never thought I would leave.
Do we have any other audience questions pending? Ooh, I see a couple. Okay. In the ball cap first, and then after that, in the blue shirt.
Hey, this is for Tina Ivelv. That guy stole my question about if you were to get a live action part, but I guess like how did you were you like are you into games, or were you like into games like when you got called for the role, and like if so, like what's like your favorite game or whatever, but if not, even I guess how was the process of you getting the role and how that all played out?
Here you go.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
No, it's okay. To answer your question, no, I was not really into video games, but the last like 15 years, I've been playing Left 4 Dead with my husband. So he'll like rig it up and we play it together, and so that's like that's what I do in terms of video games. But other than that, I would not consider myself a gamer. So no, I mean like. Yeah, I had done voiceover specifically on one other game before. I hadn't done performance capture, and that was Dead Rising 3. And all the video game stuff, the audition is just like an audition for like anything else. I had auditioned for this casting director, who's wonderful, Emily Schweber, for multiple years, and she had cast me in other things, so she knew me, and she brought me in. And it was just, it's a scene like any other scene. So I didn't approach it in any kind of different way. So that was the process, and it's all very secretive. Video games are so secret. Everything's a code name. Like I didn't know what I was auditioning for. I didn't know it was Star Wars. I think the code name was like Rose the Swamp Witch. I thought I was a swamp. I don't know. I was like, okay, let's do it. And the scene is like, it's like a fake scene. It's nothing is Star Warsy. Well, kind of. You kind of like that there's something else. There was like a force kind of thing, and like my husband was like, I think this is Star Wars, but. So you don't know, like the video game thing. I ask other people who play games. My husband plays games, so I'm like, tell me about like certain things about gameplay and things that would be important for me to know. And then I just like do research. I watch YouTube videos and look at things, look at other games and. It's nice now, that we have a reference for the games. I can just always look it up and see if there's anything I don't know. But that's pretty much how I. But I'm not really. I would not consider myself a gamer even now. I'm like not really. Oh no! So I didn't know until I booked it. When they called me and were like, "You got that thing, by the way, it's Star Wars," and I was like, "What?" And I remember just jumping up and down. I knew it was a big deal. Like I had no prior experience with obviously Star Wars, but I just knew I was like, this is going to be a huge deal, and I felt it, and I was super happy to get the role, and I was already. I just knew it was going to be really special, and luckily it really was. Like I'm just so grateful to be part of the team. Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Ina. Then we had
Hi. So we are older parents, so our biggest parenting decision was how to show our children the series of movies, how we saw them, or in chronological order. So what advice would you give for, in what order to show?
Machete. Do you guys know about Machete? Machete order?
I feel like, I don't know, chronological
You guys
now?
don't know about this? I believe Machete is you watch episode 1, Phantom Menace, then you watch 4, 5, and 6, and then, no, wait.
Why not 1, 2,
You split it up so that there's essentially like an extended flashback into like episodes 2 and 3. Yeah.
I didn't know this.
Is there anyone in the room who knows the Machete order? This Han Solo in the back.
I think you're right on starting with 1.
Yeah.
If I remember this correctly, you then go to watch 4 and 5.
And then 2.
Before you go to 6 and see the conclusion of the Vader storyline, you go watch 2 and 3 to see how he went from Anakin to Vader. And that's supposed to build up to what happens in 6.
Yes.
Wow, thank you. That's awesome. Like, chronological?
Okay, so you watch episode 1 to like,
when you say 1, which one?
sorry, The Phantom Menace.
Episode 1.
The current canonical episode 1. So you would watch The Phantom Menace.
New Hope first.
Is it?
A New Hope and then The Empire Strikes Back and then the flashback.
To all 3 of them?
So 4 or 5.
Revenge of the Sith. I guess we skip Phantom Menace. And then
It's just not in there?
We will
I'm
post
of the
later.
mind that
Stay
you
tuned.
should watch The Phantom Menace. If for no other reason than Duel of the Fates and Padme. Aw. I'm of the
Can you Google it?
He just Googled it.
Okay. So Google. Google's your friend.
That they came out.
Yeah.
Well, did it confuse you when you watched it the way in the order that it came out? Like, what the heck is this?
It's all just like in there as Star Wars, just as a foundation for your life.
I'll tell you what, though, Rogue One answered a lot of questions for me.
Yeah.
I really liked Rogue One because it filled in some gaps that needed to be answered.
Yeah, we like the backstories.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because, everybody wants to.
Obviously, I don't need a microphone.
I mean, if you
I just
want,
realized I didn't know. I'm fine. I do theater, so I'm good.
you can project into a space. Thank you for the question. We have another one back there. This gentleman in the glasses. I don't know my staffer's name. What is your name, staffer?
Manny.
Andy?
Manny.
Manny. Thank you, Manny.
I'd like to initially direct the question to Molly, but also anybody else feel free to chime in. Generally, stunt people do things that we try to avoid, like driving speeders into trees and things like that. First of all, how do you train to do that sort of stuff? And then if you would comment on the scene that you most worried about beforehand.
That's a really good question. So there's not really a stunt school where you can, or like there's no college to learn how to do stunts. But there are stunt coordinators in the industry that hold stunt workshops, or like what happened to me, stunt coordinator approached me and said, hey, I'll help you get started, I'll give you business advice, I'll train you, come to my dojo, martial arts dojo, I'll show you how to fight, fall. And so I trained with working stunt people in the industry, and learned different skill sets that way. And for there were quite a few, like wire work. I had never done wire work before, but there's someone in LA that teaches how, like or holds wire work classes, so I attended a couple of those, but a lot of my training has been kind of on the job. And I'm lucky. That doesn't happen for everyone, but I'm fortunate that I have such a niche that, like, I'm always honest with stunt coordinators. I'm like, look, I haven't done a wire gag like that before, but I'm willing to try. So as a stunt performer, you just got to be open, and you have to be brave and do things afraid that sound a little scary. But it's also fun. It's also fun. And there have been a few stunts where I get nervous and scared to do, especially since I fall a lot for a living. I'm always falling down hills or ravines or off of a bike or, you know. So we wear pads under our costumes, so I make sure I'm padded up. And, you know, as stunt coordinators, make sure you do things safely. We have a whole rigging team that looks after you, too. They make sure you're hooked up correctly, and they try to make the stunt performer as safe as possible, or like the stunt as safe as possible. But where am I going with this? My brain's moving so fast. Okay. A lot of on-the-job training, stunt workshops, training with other stunt people. It just kind of like happened over a span of many years. And one of the scary stunt that I did was, I can't say what it is yet, but I had to do a 25-foot fall down a steep hill, riding off of something pretty fast, and I had to tumble down, and I was nervous, but it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
I got one in the front.
I'll use the mic, but I can project. Mine's a creative question. So I'm up here seeing all these characters in Star Wars. You got Princess Leia's handmaiden, Mara Night Sister Witch. You've got Queel. You've got Aura Singh, Bounty Hunter. How would, if you were all put in an adventure together, how would your characters? How do you see that playing out? How would your characters get along with each other?
It's like Ocean's 12, you know, all those
I want to
girls
see
with the
this.
heist and taking notes. total heist. Everybody has their things that they excel at, and you know, plots and characters who know somebody, you know, relationships. We could run the world, run the universe. You can have that back.
I feel like Queel would buddy up with Leia pretty quickly, and Frog Lady would just, you know, be right there just with the girls and kind of, you know, bringing up the back end and being a quiet support.
And I'd be antagonizing you all.
I think Marin would just be invisible. She would just be like checking the perimeter out. I don't know. I'm not sure what the plot is, but yeah. Exactly.
Great question, thank you. Anyone else? We got this gentleman over here.
What would be a like a memory that you'll carry with you that either sitting alone or with friends and everything that'll just kind of creep into your head and you'll just kind of smile?
I'll go first. My very first shoot day on Mando, it was day one, the very first scene that we were shooting, and it was, you know, standing out there and with Dave Filoni and Brendan, who was my Mando for that day, and, you know, to the left of me, because they were shooting 2 different episodes at the same time, it was the whole, like, it was a town, and it's like, I've seen that before in my life, and trying to stay calm, because Queel had a big monologue, and it was our very first day very first time that my puppeteering team and all of us had to blend and mesh together really well, and having, you know, Mando with me. And so I was like beyond prepared and off book and just ready and just trying to keep myself calm, you know, and didn't think of, they're like, okay, they're ready for you, and I'm all suited up, and they're, you know, we had to walk up on a platform, and it's like, okay, let's get you on your blurg. It's like, huh, what? And so they plopped me up on mine, and it's like, it's good, it's fine, I got this, and yeah, just my whole life, again, I've been inspired by Star Wars, and so to then become a part of it and do something that, you know, meant so much to my dad and my brothers. It's just, yeah. I'll never forget that moment, so.
I remember when I auditioned for the Star Tours, and I got a call back, and I went into Disney Imagineering, and it was between me and two other girls, and I went into this little booth, well, it was a big booth, and they had the hologram of Leia, so I could relate to the character, just a picture of her. And I did the Star Speeder's speech, the Obi-Wan Kenobi, "You're my only hope," that speech. And when I stepped out of the booth, they had the real hologram from A New Hope up kind of on the screen, and they had manipulated her mouth to make her say what I just said in the booth, and they played it. And I watched it, and I thought, is that from A New Hope? What is that? She's saying something different. What, is that me or Carrie or what? No, that's you. That's what you just said in the booth. And then I realized, holy crap, I do sound like her because I thought that was her. That's one thing I will never forget because it was just sort of felt like I accomplished something. Even if I didn't get the job, and again, it was new. Voiceovers were still new for me. So it was just, I felt like, okay, I get it. I get what the voice matching is. And the other memory is when I did Rebels. And I'm a theater actor, so I love being on stage or doing readings and being able to relate to the actor that you're talking to. But when you do voiceovers, you're in a booth alone. I went in there, and they were all in there. They were all excited for this episode, and we all stood there in a semicircle being directed by Dave Filoni with our music stands and our scripts on the music stands, but we still looked at each other, and we related, and Taylor and I would do our scene together, and we would get our lines, but we would look back at each other, and Freddie and I would look at each other, and we'd say our lines, and I thought, my God, this feels like we're doing a play. So it makes all the difference when you can actually relate to your character. You can hear the difference in the acting. So those 2 days are huge memories for me.
You never get to do that with voice acting.
No.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say the table read for me is like when it's like solidified. Like, whoa, this is Star Wars, and we're all together, and it's really working, and it's. Yeah, that was just a great memory. And then also same, like just being on, I always say set, but it's like being there in person and acting with the amazing cast that we have. Like that's just, I mean, I can't think of one moment. It's just all the moments, you know, it's like everything. I just think of how much I enjoyed it, you know, that experience. So yeah, I would say that would be my answer to that.
Yeah, I think I want to piggyback on that. Just being on set on The Mandalorian, that my first experience with all the Jawas and Misty, I was just soaking it in like a sponge. I couldn't believe I was there. You felt like you were on a different planet, and we were having so much fun with everyone too. Like just being ornery little Jawas and.
It's like the big Jawa trawler, it wasn't there, it was part of the volume. And then they
the
built
Sandcrawler.
out, but it looked like it was there, and so when you step on site, you're just like, oh my God.
Yeah, exactly. You're there, and you see it in person, you're like, get so excited.
Did you,
Come on, calm down.
And then Grogu, I can't get over Grogu. We knew about him for we had to keep quiet. We couldn't tell anybody what we saw on set. We kept Grogu a secret for like a year and a half, maybe 2 years.
Impressive.
Yeah, so hard. So hard, yeah.
I got to see him because I had fittings at Legacy Effects, and my very first fitting, I rounded the corner, and my friend Connie, who she punches the hair, she was doing the hair and the beard for Queel, and then I rounded the corner, and she had Grogu. You know, she was doing his little baby fuzz, and I was just like, it's like, and nobody knew, and I didn't know, because I only had my scripts for season 1, and they were keeping it under wraps. Like, well, is that baby Yoda? And I was like, I don't care. He sounds like, to me it is. And I was just, again, from that first moment, I was like, oh my God, people are gonna lose their minds. So, I mean, we waited a long time and just beyond excited for that episode, for that reveal. And a lot of us, we didn't see it either. So it was such a special moment to experience on, you know, watching it on TV too with all the friends. And just was like, yay, now we can talk about him. And, you know, how every moment with him on set was the best moment ever.
I was thinking the whole time, because it was one day for me. I started at 4 a.m., 6 hours of makeup. So, like, the whole day was very special to me. And I remember it like I was there yesterday. But I will tell you 2 things. One is, I already told you when George came, but it was such a cool feeling coming out of makeup and being in full costume. Doug Chang, who did the concept art for Aura Singh, he was like dancing around me because she came to life. And that was just and then when I was on set and George came in, he just stood there and just was like staring. And I thought that was so cool, because when you think about it, it's like, so when I walked with George Lucas from the set to still photography, he told me that he had created Aura Singh and that he had named her. And I thought that was really cool, because a lot of that art is given away to other artists. And so that was really special to me. And then another funny special thing was that I was 19 years old, and I didn't want to travel there by myself, but I didn't want to bring an entourage. I was trying to be professional. And so I went by myself, and they were surprised by that. Everybody was like, you didn't bring anybody? And I was like, no, I didn't. Nobody said I could. Like, I just was trying to be professional. But my grandfather didn't want me to drive by myself. He was like my dad. We were very close. And so he stayed at the hotel. And they didn't tell me, but they sent a limo for him. Aww. And so I know it kind of makes me get misty-eyed, because he came and he was just standing there like, whoa. And he got to meet George Lucas. And so that was a very special moment. But the whole day was special for me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. We have to wrap it up. I do have a couple of giveaways that are sponsored by bigbadtoyshop.com, I believe. Got it on the first try. I would like to give one to the gentleman who asked the first question. Thank you so much. And then to the family who had asked about the order. Do you want to come and get it? And then can we take a selfie before we get off the stage? Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thank
It's nice
you.
to